We've taken some great looking photographs, manipulated them and saved the file. So what's next? You could leave the pictures on a hard drive or produce a great looking print. In this series we'll be covering all aspects of printing from beginner level through to advanced techniques. Okay, so I've now brought in the photograph I took down at Seven Sisters, and I've actually applied some manipulations to it. I've put on a hue and saturation, we've used a graduated filter for the sky, and we've also done some levels and color balance adjustments. But we will go into image manipulation in future tutorials. But for this one, I'm just going to be looking at the printer settings. So okay, I'm going to print this out onto an A4 sheet of paper using a multifunction printer. The first thing I want to do now is to check my image size. So let's go to Image, Image Size. And here I can see my document size is 7.5 inches by a height of 4.62 inches. That's just over 4.5 inches. Now I actually want the picture to fill up most of the A4 sheet of paper, so I want a width of approximately about 10 inches. Now we can either just highlight the 7.5 and just type in 10, and this is going to resample the image for us, and it's now changed from 9 megabytes to 15.7 megabytes. It's resampled and it's using a bicubic best for smooth gradients. It's going to produce a really quite nice image, but I'm not going to use this method. I'm actually going to use the printer dialog panel to change my size. So we'll cancel that, and now we'll just go to File and we'll select Print, or we can press Ctrl and P. Now this will bring up your printer dialog panel. At the top here we've got the printer that's in use, and we're using an Epson PX720WD multifunction printer. The picture area here, this is a representation of your media size, and that's A4. But I actually want it as a landscape picture. So we can go on to these two icons here. It's in the portrait mode at the moment. We'll click on the landscape mode. Now this has put it into the correct orientation, but I've got far too much white border all the way around the picture. Now we can scale the print using one of two methods. We can either use scale to fit media, and this will magnify the picture to within the printable area of your media. But again, this is looking a bit too tight on the edges, and I don't want it so big. So we'll uncheck that. And now we can hover our mouse over the word scale, and we can scrub to the right just to increase the magnification. I'm going to take it to roughly about 125, 126. Now you can see that the image is scaled up, and if we look at the resolution, it's now gone to 238 points per inch. It was 300 dpi, so there's a bit of upscaling going on. Now if we look on the right hand side, we're going to let the printer manage its colors. Now in future tutorials I will be going into applying custom profiles, but for this simple exercise we're just going to let the printer manage colors. Now we need to go onto the print settings. Now depending on your own printer, your dialog panel may look slightly different to this, so let's walk through each stage. On the top here we've got the different types of jobs. You can either do a draft mode, which is for rough printing, text, or text and images, and this could be for newsletters, photo, or best photo. Well, I'm actually going to just select photo. The next item is we'll have our source. Well, it's going to come in from the front tray on this particular printer. If you've got a rear feed tray, it may say rear feed tray there. And we also need to define the paper type. At the moment it's set to plain paper. I'm going to use some premium glossy paper. Now it's very important that you do set this media type here, because this actually determines how much ink is laid down on the media. So for matte papers there won't be so much ink being laid down, and glossy paper you will find there's more ink being laid down. So it's very important that you choose the correct type. And again, I will go into this in more detail when we start using the custom profiles. The media size, well, it's A4, and I'm going to choose borders on there because I've actually defined my own border. On the bottom here we see the ink levels, and we can see that the magenta is slightly down. You will get a warning symbol appear when the ink is precariously low. On the print options we can choose photo enhance, Fixed red eye, well, there's no red eye in my picture. Reverse order, this is primarily for text document printing. If you've got many pages of text, then you can actually have it printing in reverse order so that you can just pick up the stack and print preview. I'm not going to use that at the moment. We can also go into the advanced mode, and we have exactly the same settings. One extra one there is a high speed. Generally speaking, a printer will print from left to right and then right to left, and that will be under high speed. If you uncheck this, it'll just print from left to right. The carriage will return, then the next line will be printed from left to right again, and so forth. That will take slightly longer to print. And on the right hand side here, we've got color management. Now, if we select color controls, we can go into the different controls and we can set brightness, contrast, saturation, density, and we can also alter the color settings as well and just drag those around, and you can see the small preview on the right hand side there changing. My advice is probably not to use this. Make your color adjustments in your image editing application, so I'm going to cancel that. And the color mode we can set to different standards: Epson Vivid, Epson Standard, which is actually sRGB, or Adobe RGB. I'm going to leave that set at maybe Epson Standard for this, and we'll select Photo Enhance. We can have autocorrect, we can have people, landscape, etc. And this will just apply different amounts of saturation for you. I'm going to leave this set to auto. And we click OK, and the next thing to do is just to press the print button.